Shane Smith, hashtag Lions. How much do you think that the new defensive line coach is going to help the trenches? Great question for the Man of Steel.
Immensely. Terrell Williams was my hire of the year as far as the coaching staff was concerned. I looked at what he did, especially in Tennessee and throughout his career. He is a awesome defensive line coach. In fact, Dan Campbell said he's one of the best in the league. So bringing him on our staff will help our defensive line, help our trenches immensely. Definitely.
If you haven't noticed, I've known Curtis Steele for a couple years now, and our answers are generally exactly the same. We're like literally have the exact same brain and how we operate. So anytime that he speaks, I probably could agree with that. What do you think about Terrell Williams there, Dan? Do you think that he's going to elevate the talent on this defensive line? Because 41 sacks, I think that's what we got last year, was not good enough.
I think he's going to bring a lot more aggressive technique to the guys. I think he's going to coach up a lot of the guys that have some potential, some athleticism, but you watch their hand placement, how they try to shut off blocks and such. There just wasn't ever really clear progression throughout last season. You could even say the season before, even though maybe that's not as applicable. But with some of these younger guys, they should, in my opinion, be doing more. I think Williams is going to coach them up more. And probably by the time we get to the mid-season, my 30-point prediction against the Chicago Bears is going to be looking a lot more sane because he is going to unleash some beasts in Detroit. I think he's going to unleash just a huge pass rush. And I can't remember his name. Maybe Steele remembers. He reminds me a ton of a guy the Lions had as a defensive line coach in the early 90s where he just said, skip worrying about the run. We're going to go after the quarterback, and you're going to stop the running back on the way to the quarterback. I think Williams is going to bring an uber aggressive style to the defensive front, the front seven, that we really haven't seen in 20, 30 years.
We've been talking about a lot of camp battles, one being wide receiver, and there's been a rumor that Robert Woods could potentially be traded. What do you think about the Lions trading for Robert Woods, Ant-Man?
I don't know. I'm not so keen. Like, I think we develop the guys we've got here. I'm quite happy doing that. Like, I don't really want to give any more resources up to the receiver. Like, when you've got DPJ, when you've got Raymond, when you've got guys like that, I think you'll be fine. With JMO, JMO's going to be so much better this year. JMO is going to be an absolute weapon. We're not going to need a major third guy to come in and be able to contribute. As long as everyone just chips in, I think we'll be fine. I don't really want to give up, especially he's getting on. Like, I don't want to give anything up, even seventh throw line. I don't think no point. So I wouldn't be keen on that. I want to go in-house when it comes to the receivers.
Brad DeWitt says, how much will we pay Alim Mcneill if he balls out this season? Man of Steel. What are you thinking? Because it's probably going to be the same answer as me.
Probably around 8 to 9 a year on that contract.
I don't know.
That's what he'll get.
That would be a really good deal.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I don't think, even with a good year, I still don't think he rates in that he's going to get 14 to 15. I think maybe 9 to 10, 8 to 10, excuse me, where he'll come in at, with a generous signing bonus. I think the years may be, how Brad Holmes and his crew does it. It may look like it's about 14 to 15 a year, but it ended up being like, 9, around that area. If you look at it like that, good signing bonus and avoidable years at the end. So I think he gets a good deal. You look at the deals that we have right now. A lot of them have are structured where they can be restructured and loosen up some of the cap space down the line. So I think it'll be one of those similar type of deals.
I usually agree with you. I think it's gonna be a lot higher than that. I'm gonna go around. You look at the other defensive tackles, around 17 million. I think that's what's gonna be. Literally, the 10th rated defensive tackle right now is getting 20 million a year. That's just the 10th. So, like, if you look on this, DJ Reader's gotten 11.5 or 11 million. So it could be a little bit. That would be nice. You get less than that, but it's going to be a little bit here. It's going to be definitely a little bit. Hashtag line secondary improved significantly, and Terrion Arnold, rookie of the year. Do you think, Dan, that he could be rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year? What do you think?
I think there's some potential because of the way that we're going to play defense this year, at least the way I'm anticipating. what we saw the year we went 9-8, and then basically the last half of the season when Denver game on, I think that's going to be AG's norm. I think he's going to continue to go after the quarterback, send multiple blitzes, leave guys on the island because of that. And on top of the fact the Lions are going to face some rookie quarterbacks this year, there's real potential that a couple tip passes go his way, maybe a couple of spots where he undercuts and jumps a route. I think Arnold's got the potential to get somewhere between, say, 3 to 6 picks this year. And if he gets somewhere closer to the 6, along with some return yards, maybe some highlight reel returns, some tackles, he's got a real strong case on a team that's going to be hot in a ton of primetime games. It's going to be talked about in the national media a lot. That's going to be a darling of ESPN and every national media outlet out there. There's going to be a push for someone like Terry Arnold in that scenario to be Rookie of the Year.
We talk about Terry Arnold a lot, but there's another guy there who I think is the number one. That's Carlton Davis. If he does really good this year, man, do you think that the Lions could give him an extension?
I mean, you would like to think so, given that we did give up some good draft capital for him. We don't want to really make this a rental. So you've got to assume that unless he has the worst season going, then yes, he is going to stay long term. So because you need him, our future is there at corner, but they're young guys. You've always got to have good vets in the room, and he's been consistently, solidly good for a very long time. He's been all the way and won the big one. So I would fully expect him to stay here, and there'd be no worries on that front, unless he has a stupidly good season, which just prices him out. But I don't see that. I think he's going to be good, but he'll not have a season that's great enough that will make him cost us elite money. So, yeah, he'll stay here.
Jonathan asks, how has Green looked so far? From what I'm hearing, it's good, but not much. We're not hearing a lot. But the one we do hear, it's good. He's making a big catch or something. So right now, I think he's on pace to try to make that number 6 wide receiver spot, right? If he can come in there, I think it's between him and Fountain who's going to come in and get it. But nothing bad, not much good. It's just he's one of those names that's been floating around. So you don't really hear a lot about him. But I think he's done fine from what I'm hearing. Kurt, you look at the wide receivers. Does Jameson Williams step up? Do you think he steps up this year? Who comes in at number 3 with Khalif or Donovan or Fountain? What do you got with J-Mo and everybody?
Waymo gonna be the man this year, man. Waymo's gonna have a really good season. I believe that they're gonna use him, primarily as a pass catcher. He'll have some gadget plays here and there, but he's gonna be an increased role in the pass game. Wide receiver number 3, the name that I'm hearing coming out of Allen Park or coming out of the quarterback's mouth is Khalif Raymond. Yeah, that's who Jared Goff. And you look at how Jared Goff operates. He likes guys that he's comfortable with, guys that know how he throws the ball. We've seen Raymond make splash plays and make some key catches and key spots. So I think right now he will be the leader in the clubhouse if Jared Goff has a say in who gets that number 3 position right now.
I love Khalif Raymond. He is the most underrated Detroit Lion.
He works so hard too.
Team. He works spot. The only reason you don't hear about it is 5'8", but all he does, he can play outside, he can play inside, he does big catch, he's fast, he can do wide receiver screen, he's good at blocking, and he's a great influence on the locker room. Khalif Raymond is awesome. Love Khalif Raymond, and you're right. I think he probably gonna win the number 3 job, and such a good player right there. I seen Dan moving around. Are you wanting to add on to Leaf?
I agree with Khalif Raymond, man, because you look at the vast majority of our games being indoors and on basically track surface. Khalif Raymond, man, he's a matchup problem, especially if you talk about Williams' emergence, St. Brown's, Laporta. I think you're going to see Gibbs, motioned out into the slot a lot. At some point, man, you got to have a lot of speed out there to guard all those guys. Khalif Raymond, we all know he can shake and bake. He can take it deep. He can cut across the middle. He's got a lot of versatility. I think he'll have a better opportunity to show than what he has even the past couple seasons. I do expect a lot out of Donovan Peoples-Jones, but at the end of the day, speed is like height. You can't coach it as a coach. And what he can do, especially when you get him the ball in space, he presents a lot of problems for opposing defenses.
Generally speaking, the Lions have always had undrafted free agents make the football team. I think this year's a little bit different. Brent DeWitt asks, any undrafted free agents making the 53-man roster, Ant-Man? I think Isaiah Williams is probably the only one close, but after what I'm hearing, I don't think he makes it. And then none. What do you think? Maybe you disagree.
Yeah, it's a tough one. For the first time in a long time, you don't see any big standout candidates who are going to do so. Maybe you would look at one of the offensive line guys like Aguakun, like if we need another center, because backup center is always a bit of an iffy thing with us. So maybe you might sneak a guy like that on just because like the O-line one's really intriguing. Like who are you going to take? There's quite a few guys in there, and it's for me it's tough to figure out who they all are going to be. So I think that might be the area where someone sneaks in, or maybe the long snapper. We got long snapper, didn't we? Daly's apparently not doing well, so maybe Hatton gets in. That could be a cheat answer.
We have a very important comment here from Tafka Day. It says, #Lions. Can you please ask Dan Thornton, also known as Lions Talk Live, to say Campbell 5 times at whatever speed he chooses, please. Quickly, slowly, whatever speed he chooses is fine. Love you, Dan. LOL. Campbell, that's 2 words. Campbell is So
some
can you
haters
say,
up in this place.
dude, I'm terrible at names too, man. I am so bad with names. I am the worst. So it happens to us all. If you are good at names, well, you're better than what me and Dan are doing. That is for sure. If you got any questions, keep throwing it in the comment section. I want to see what your guys' thoughts here. Here we go, Mr. Curtis Steele. So the Lions, do you think that we're going to go for it on 4th down as much as we did last? You think Dan Campbell's going to change after the NFC Championship game?
Nah, I think he's going to be who he is. Yeah. I just think he's going to. Dan Campbell has showed everyone from day one that he's going to be himself, and I think that going for it on 4th down is this in his DNA. He's going to roll, but I don't think it's more of a gamble. I think he believes in his guys. He believes in his people that he has on the field, and he trusts them to make plays. Sometimes the comebacks bite him in the behind, of course, like it did the NFC Championship game. I'm still shocked at the 2 passes that Josh Reynolds, usually sure-handed guy, would catch. Right. But I just think that he believes in his guys, and Dan Campbell is going to be himself.
Craig Hogg dropped question here. Who do you think will be a direct backup behind Alim Mcneill? Wingo Onwuzurike. Well, Onwuzurike is actually right now right behind him in the depth chart. So I'm going to go with Levi Onwuzurike. And I do think he makes the team after everything that he's doing. So I think it'd be Alim Mcneill, Onwuzurike. DJ Reader is going to be obviously. And then behind him is Broderick Martin. And I think that he's going to take a step up with the way he changed, the way he looked, and how he eats and all that lovely stuff. Hey, do you guys think that the Eagles are going to be good? Ant-Man, thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles?
No, I hope they suck. Just so CJ Gardner-Johnson can.
Oh my God, I don't.
CJ has just put me off them again. Like you can, I think, in all fairness, Sirianni's on one of the hottest seats in the NFL this year. I truly believe that because they're in their window and they seem to be getting further and further away from the Super Bowl. And I think goodwill will run out with him pretty soon. So I don't see them doing that well this year. Especially now Washington seem to have got their act together a little bit. And that division's more competitive now.
Gritty, I disagree with my man. I think they'll still be a good team. I don't know if they're going to be like, we're not talking about number 1. But if you look at the good teams, you got the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions. I think Philadelphia is still good in the NFC. Green Bay, I think, is pretty good.